You were on the shows like Westworld and especially Vikings, and now you are playing Merlin on Cursed. They belong to totally different universes and timelines, I guess. How did you get used to these sharp transitions? It was hard or easy for you?
Well, I've always been a fan of the fantasy genre. I grew up with, reading the Lord of the Rings book, and while the other kids took football classes, I took horse riding lessons and fencing lessons, and I was into role playing and all of that. So I always had, a love for the fantasy universe. So when I was approached by this project and I first read it, I really felt that it resonated with me.
Merlin, actually, who is known for centuries in the fiction world, even in the gaming world. We saw this character before for many times. But what is your character's specifics for that makes him different than the others?
Well, this Merlin is a drunk. He has lost his magic. He has lost his, belief in anything. He's quite cynic. And I've never seen that before. That's where we pick him up, So I think that Tom has written an amazing character that I was, really attracted to when I first read the scripts. So I just think it's a very fun and brilliant take on the character. It's nothing like we've ever seen before.
What is Merlin actually chasing, you think? I want to know what you feel about him much more.
I think it differs over the season. But I think at first he's chasing, there's a restlessness, and I think he's finally getting bored of the situation he's in. And then there's also the promise of this sword finding its way back to him. And that is something that awakens him from his slumber. But then the stakes get even higher as the season progresses, in a way that he could never have imagined.
I think Cursed has a different perspective than the other versions of the Sword legend, because this is a story about women who were belonged to sporting roles before. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this balance changes and rising up of women characters?
I think it's necessary. I think it's crucial. Yeah. And I stand behind it 100%. I think it's the right way to tell this story today.
Where is the place of your character on the story of Cursed?
Yeah, I guess it's in terms of the place, because we're set in different, my character's from Grimaire, and it's one of those things where as a character, he moves within different worlds. So I think Arthur I kind of feel like he's a character of no place. That sounds weird, but and I think that's why he gets along with Nimue so well, because she feels so displaced in the world. So I think it's one of those things where he's very much a nomad. He's very much a person who just walks around and tries to interact with the world in that way.
Okay. Did you take inspiration from any characters in cinema or television history in addition to the historical theme of the story for your character?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I guess in terms of making him feel like a young man into building into a man, because I don't even know if he becomes a fully fledged human by the end of season 1. I think it's definitely he's building towards something. So I think looking at all my heroes and, weirdly, because I played it already, like Obama and stuff like this, like finding the person before we know the legend. And I think that's definitely something that probably subconsciously I have a lot of people.
In the story, everything a little bit different. And in the original story holds focus on the man in power. However, Cursed focuses on men who have changed the fates of whole peoples and their own fates. What do you think about the changes made to the popular legend?
I think it's great. I think every story, when you have such a wonderful story like the Arthurian legends, you can focus on any character within that. And I think that's why this story feels so strong, is Nimue is very underwritten. So in the context, and I always compare it to Ophelia in Hamlet. It feels like a character that just gets lost, but she's so crucial to the story, like the Lady of the Lake. And so it's exciting. It's an exciting perspective on the world, and also it's very empowering. And even as a man, I found this story actually more empowering than the originals, because I found the humanity within the character to get to that point easier.
If it would be possible to look to your character as a person from outside, what kind of advices would you give to him?
A lot. I think I would just tell him to listen more and to be okay with forgiving himself a lot of the times. I think he doesn't forgive himself many, many times.
That's a good advice, I think.
No, thank you. That's as good as life advice, probably.
Okay. Where is the place of your character on the story of Cursed? I guess you are one of the bad guys. But what kind of bad guy? Does he has reasons for that?
Yes. He is Father Cardin's chosen assassin, because he's insanely good at killing people. And he starts off as the foil for Father Cardin to kill and destroy as many people as he's asked to. And yet there is an internal struggle going on within him that is kind of revealed by the end, that shows that there's a past that he had that probably was very different to this. So that's where he fits in.
Yes. Did you take inspiration from any characters in cinema or television history, in addition to the historical theme of the story for your character?
There's a Kurosawa movie called Seven Samurai, and I use a lot of the movement of him, especially in his fighting, just the poise and the elegance of his fighting are used in that respect. That's kind of what I do. I don't say a lot. So a lot of this has got to be told through movement and through the preparation of getting to that place.
Has working on this series made you realize something about your acting tale or about your life or career?
Yeah. I mean, I think they always do, it's interesting because they always represent a period of time in your life. They always, whenever you see something, you're like, oh, I remember where I was emotionally, where I was, where I was as a person when you started and the difference when you finished. And there was some big change. There was some big changes in that year. We shot for a long time. It was like 10 months. And so there's some big changes, and there's some things that I learned along the way. You always learn as an actor. You're always like, oh, this works, this doesn't work. And the challenge is always like, can you get that? Is there something you can learn, and can you get it? Can you get that right? Or can you explore this in a different way? And that was certainly something that I got to do in this great kind of fantasy big world. You're trying to tell your version of your story and challenge yourself, and that works for the character because there's lots of deep internal conflict there. So it was a long year, but it was fun, a lot of fun.
In the story, everything is a little bit different. as in the original story holds focus on man power. However, Curse focused on women who have changed the fates of whole people or their own fates. What do you think about the changes made to popular legend?
I think it's great. You know, I think it challenges what we think of as why we've always told stories from a certain angle. You know, why can't things be challenged in that way? You know, like this story has been told so many times. Why can't we tell it from a different scenario? And it gives a whole new audience and a way into history, to be involved in history. And I think that's good. You know, like, I think it's good. My little sister is, she's 10, and now she has something to watch and read that she's like, oh yeah, that's, you know, that something's told from my perspective. And then in Arthurian legend, that's never been done. So that's great.
Okay, thank you so much for answering my questions.
My pleasure, thank you.
I hope see you soon later.
Okay, I'll see you soon. I like your posters in the back, by the way.
That was all my questions. Thank you for your time. I hope we meet again for another seasons of Cursed.
I hope so too.
Thank you.
Thank you.